Okay, people are still dialing in here and logging in. Appreciate it. This is Dave Gagnon from Integrity Square. Thank you all very much. We're going to go ahead and get started. Again, just make sure to stay on mute if you're on your phone or on your computer, and put your questions in the chat functionality there, and we'll get to those hopefully at the end if there's time. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to David Fowler, who will take it from here. We also have Brian Mitchell on the call from Promotion Vault, who will be joining in a little bit later on the presentation as well. Dave, take it away.
Thanks, Dave. Hello, everybody. So we'll take the next 45 minutes, capture a lot of information here and share it. And not sure how much time there'll be for a Q&A, as David said, but Brian and I will be responding by email. Should you have any questions, we'll get back to you as soon as we can. But, you know, if we look back even 3 weeks ago, we were dealt with this situation. We're trying to figure out how to react to the members, stop their billing, credit some billing, figure out a virtual classes. 2 weeks ago, we're dealing with our staffing issues, trying to understand the government's participation here, but who we're laying off, compensation, what we're going to do with our leadership teams, what all that looks like. And then beginning of this week, phase 3, we had our banking, all the terms coming out for our stimulus packages, looking at our cash management, loans, what's going on with the grants. And so I know you're still going to be dealing and vetting through that in the coming weeks, but it's actually stage 4 now is kind of like the planning stage, right? So we thought we'd put together some information to help you prepare for your relaunch. And this is not about a step-by-step what you need to do. It's more about, here are some things that you should be considering at this time to prepare yourself the best you possibly can. So I want to just recognize some people that have helped me with content and some of the information I was putting together here. Josh Barrier, Sal Pellegrino, Dave Gagnon, Brian Mitchell, and Pete Moore. Appreciate your assistance, right? So let's get to it. We're going to cover physical property policies, our staffing considerations, the member experience, and then I'll hand it over to Brian, founder and CEO of Promotion Vault, to cover off on sales and marketing. Okay, physical property. So there's going to be some mandates. I'm sure IRS is going to be working with both federal government and local government to dictate upon opening what that looks like. And since we don't know, we're going to plan the best we can and then make the adjustments once the guidelines for these mandates appear. The 6-foot rule, you know, the idea that there's occupancy considerations, whether it's based on the square footage, X amount of members per 1,000 feet, as an example, or if it's taking your current occupancy and a percentage of that, we don't know. But what I'm encouraging the clients that I'm working with and the things that we're doing now is just start in the parking lot, members get out of their car, the entire flow. What does that look like? They get to the front door. Do we have our front doors open so people don't have to touch the handles 100 times a day? What signage is when you enter? Do we need some stanchions outside to encourage the 6-foot rule? I know I was in the supermarket and they just put in 3 taped off 6-foot areas. So while you're waiting to check out, while you're checking out, and then while you're bagging, there's an area, a spot that you have to stand in. You know, do we create such spacing somehow so that the members understand, you know, this 6-foot rule and what their place is? Plexiglass I see getting put up in some areas. So do we have a piece of plexiglass that stands between the check-in and the front desk associate so that they're not getting everybody in front of them all day long? Do you have a scent when you walk in? Do you want a clean smell, something different there? When the members check in, I doubt if they're going to be handing their key cards over, you know, so the self-check-in. If there's a thumbprint, you may want to reconsider that. There might be 3 different lines so that people can check in without standing behind each other. You might have 2 or 3 different check-in stations. They could be far apart. The lobby, picturing, you know, how the furniture, what does that look like? How can we spread that out? Do we hand, or do members grab their own wipes when they enter? What does the signage look like? You know, and you may consider having 2 different types of signs. One that covers off on policies for freezing and canceling and guest policies, and another one for cleaning, what we expect of the members on their part, and some policies that might have to do with the kids club or whatnot. So the cleaning stations, you know, I walked the gym last week. We had about 10 or 11 cleaning stations in the entire gym. We're now going to up that to 50 so that it's easy access. We're also changing the cleaning stations so that they're not just wipes, but there's also spray bottles with paper towels, no rags, but there's multiple stations. And then a studio that might host 40 people, we may open up with, let's say, 15 or 20 people in that studio. You might need 10 cleaning stations so that everybody can get good, quick access to sanitize their particular place where they worked out. So think about that, and the bottles and all the things that you need to get in place ahead of time. And if the paper towels are set up in a way that you don't have to touch another paper towel, or the roll is in a way that you don't have to touch another towel or roll, that would be suggested as well. Obviously, I'm telling you things that you have thought about already. The cardio and strength area, the 6-foot rule, a treadmill's 3 feet wide. There's usually a foot or a foot and a half on either side, depending on the gym. You may need to have every other one access. You might have to spread them out a little bit. It could be every third. Same with the strength. Functional area, you may want to consider all the toys that you have out there, maybe limiting them so that there's not 50 products out there, but maybe there's 10 so that we can keep them cleaned. You know, do the staff all wear the gloves? Do we issue gloves to the members as optional? Do the staff have masks? In China, they do. Not just the staff, but all the members do. The lockers and showers, you know, do we open up with just the sinks and the toilets, and then we phase in the showers and the lockers? It's going to be pretty difficult in some of these locker rooms if there is, in fact, a 6-foot rule when we reopen to have people 6 feet apart if they're in the lockers. Maybe they're going to be a little annoyed, but I think they'll be thrilled just to get back in and work out. So think about all that, and then how we're going to communicate that via email, website, etc. You may want to pause on offering classes. The classes may be 30 minutes instead of 60 minutes. Obviously, you'll have to determine the type of programs that you have. If you have stations that go through a circuit, you're probably going to either limit those circuits or change up the programming. You may have different color stickers, that the items that you use are all orange, the next person's are all green if they're using more than one product, so that you can set it up accordingly. If you have a basketball court or racquetball court, You may want to utilize that space for spinning, for a class. Maybe the music's not spot on. So what? And people are going to feel really good about having space. And I doubt if you'll have basketball games going on when you first reopen. I would utilize any open space, including you might get lucky with a neighboring tenant that a landlord's trying to fill a spot that is a white box that you can work out with your landlord in a strip mall or something. But clearly the class changes are going to take a lot of consideration. Phasing in tanning, massage, body fat testing, the assessments that a member might get, steam room, sauna, jacuzzi, hydro massage, all of these things I'm thinking are not necessary. They're nice. They're not mandatory to get a workout and get your members back in the flow of things. So think about how you phase in some of those items once we get the guidelines. Kids Club, that's a world in itself, based on the size, the amount of kids and the people that are working there. Not sure how you're going to handle that or if that'll be phased in as well. I would encourage members to wear their own gloves, and I would sell gloves. Not talking about the little plastic ones, and if they have them, that's great, but any kind of gloves. This would be probably a good best practice. Why not? Water fountain, if it was a fill station, I think that's great. If it was a water fountain that you're touching the knob and putting your face down I would close those off, and I'd probably sell waters at a discount. If you're selling bottled water, I'd probably give the members a good break on that. Dumbbells, kettlebells, you may want to think about, not sure. But clearly the physical property needs a lot of consideration, the signage, where the signage is posted, how big it's written. The signage should say subject to change and should have a date on it because it will change, I'm sure. And there are a lot of states allowing entry where you can do maintenance, you can do cleaning, you can sort of walk your space and figure these things out. So policies, new policies, we talked about posting them, various areas, maybe different colors. I would capture some feedback from my leadership team before I did any of this. FAQs, there'd be some significant role playing. Freeze, cancel, past due, partial payments. Do we allow members to work out initially that their payment didn't go through or they were past due prior to coming back? All these things are considerations. If you have an HVLP model, do you allow guests? If you're going to be limited on 50% of your cardio strength and class, do you want to have free guests or do you want to temporarily suspend that? Just a consideration. I'm picturing a fast food restaurant where they have the cleaning every hour. Somebody signs off on it and checks it. I don't think you can be over the top at this point where you're showing the members that it's very structured, very organized and detailed. And you may have a cleaning checklist for the day for certain items. You may have lots of items that are by the hour that are signed off by the manager on duty. Visible, showing everybody exactly what you're doing. I would rather have that than social media, where people are trying to show things that aren't correct in your space. That would not be good. Obviously, class sign-up limitations, the policy change there. 6-foot rule policy might be in place. Members self-cleaning. Not so sure I would want members having their own towels from their home where they're just wiping down because that's really not sanitized anything. That might just transfer one piece of equipment to the next. So you got to think through that. How would that communication work? It's not enough. Probably everything needs to be sanitized. Good time for us to be thinking about implementing things that'll stick for a long time, i.e. members self-cleaning, etc. There's opening and closing procedures. There's checklists for the employees. I suspect all those lists will be modified. So those policies should change. What happens if a member complains about another member? That needs to be role played thoroughly. If a member says somebody else might be sick, or if an employee has showing any symptoms, or a member is showing symptoms, how do you deal with that? All right. You got to look after the masses here. If we upset one individual in the process, then so be it, is my 2 cents. Yeah, complaints. You know, I would role play what complaints might come our way, what questions are coming our way, what things our members or an associate's going to ask, and just start creating this list. You might look at your class pass for the boutiques out there, consideration. If you were trying to wean off a class pass, it might be a good time to think through that strategy. You might be discounting your packages already, and it might be a good time to vet all of that information. So, moving quickly, wanted to cover everything here. Your staffing considerations, you know, depending on your brand, if you have a basic HVLP currently, and the real role, the assistant manager, MOD, whatever it is to make sure that everybody's greeted, they're friendly, the place is clean, everything is in working order. You know, that's not enough now. You're going to really need to take those individuals and develop and train them to be strong communicators and leaders, because their jobs are significantly going to change. And just picturing, if you're open, let's say 105 hours, whatever it might be a week, you know, you might need 150 hours of specific coverage with your consideration. Now, I don't mean coverage that they're on the schedule, coverage that they're maintaining an area of the gym to ensure that members are doing a 6-foot rule, they're cleaning after themselves, the staff is doing all the right thing. You may have an MOD positioned at the front door, another one at the front desk. There may be split shifts needed for the management team. You're going to look at your peak hours, but it just has to be controlled, especially initially. So anyway, role-playing FAQs, key, where the staff's positioned, looking at the existing job descriptions and saying, do those work in this new environment for the relaunch? And is it a good time for us to have some considerations for permanent changes? For example, the trainers, currently, I don't think any of them that I know of are focused on making sure the members clean up after themselves. Maybe they're either cleaning or engaging or helping members or whatever it might be. So now this might be a priority for the floor trainers, is to ensure that members have to clean up every time they use a piece of equipment. It has to be sanitized. So that's a pretty, you know, full-time role for a floor trainer. Obviously training them, cleaning after themselves and looking after the gym and so on and so forth. But making sure that the members clean is kind of a new tall order that's going to be expected here, I believe. If we look at the classes, and I've put Orange Theory as an example here. I was in Denver. There was 43 people in the class, and the instructor was awesome, but she made sure that she looked and everybody cleaned up after themselves. She couldn't clean 43 stations. Everybody had to do their part. I think this is going to be the new expectation. What happens before the class for the instructor, what that new procedure policy looks like, what happens after the class, how do they ensure that members are cleaning up after themselves? Do they give an example? Do they show what a clean station looks like? We can't take anything for granted. And it might be a new norm for the instructor's expectations to do just that. And then if they're in a studio and there's only 15 people, do you look at the compensation differently for this relaunch? Or do you double up on the classes at 30 minutes? how do we take care of our financials, our associates, and our members, right? That trilogy. How do we look after everybody? F45, you know, your dues tap, who knows what it's going to be when you have your first run, but it could easily be 60% or 70% of what your current dues tap is. A lot of members on freeze, a lot of members that haven't used your gym before you close, maybe a third in the last 60 days. And so now they're trying to get back in the gym, right? And you're trying to figure out how to make this whole thing work, and you got payroll, and you have cleaning payroll, and so on and so forth. So, you know, I would say a clean sheet, staff considerations from overhead, leadership, what your roles are. Does your sales team need to be at the front desk? Do they supplement front desk hours or the MODs during this time? F45 does not have a sale. They do not have a front desk staff. The instructor checks people in. This is a significant advantage to their model. So it's a time to take a fresh look at everything that you're currently doing when you do your Q2 or Q3 budgets. Okay, let me slide to the next one. Let me check my clock here, Dave. 5:23. I think we're good. This is my last slide before I slide it over to Mr. Brian. So the member experience, obviously going to look a lot different in how we phase everything in. The usage and capacity limitations that we have here, our services, you know, how is this all going to be communicated effectively? Is it a daily update on the website? Is it an email? What's the communication strategy here for the members so that they know what they're walking into and they're not surprised before they get there, right? The self-cleaning, this expectation should be very clear what we're looking for them. The class schedules, you know, if you have 8 classes a day and you can have another 10 virtual classes, maybe that's a strategy worth considering. If your cardio is limited and this is going to drive people off of the limited cardio that you now have, and it's going to put them in a studio, in a virtual class, maybe that's an option to consider. Less access to equipment they're going to have. In China, they open the gym for 90 minutes, they close it for 30, and then they repeat. Everybody clears out, they have a deep clean. We don't know what our situation is going to look like, what's going to be the expectation. Your gym hours, if you're open 24 hours, do you need to be open up at 3 in the morning? Not sure. You may consider adjusting your hours. If you're closing at 5 on the weekends, you may want to open till 7. You may want to spread out some of the compaction so that people can come when it's quieter. Might be a good selling point. A towel service, you know, probably not necessary for your soft launch. Anyway, there's some items here I missed. I wanted to make sure I go through it quickly. If I can help answer any questions, dfowler@integritysq.com. We're helping right now about a dozen clients figure out how to best way for them to reopen. Let me turn it over to Brian Mitchell, founder and CEO of a terrific company, Promotion Vault. And Brian, you've got some great information to share. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, David. That was great. So I want to thank everybody for their time. I know putting a lot of effort into these webinars and learning and all the information out there. Just know that you are the ones that are in the game. You are the ones that are figuring out what to do. You're the ones that have handled the past few weeks, you know, in the best way that we all can right now. So we're in the game, and thank you for your time today. I'm going to start off in the same place David kind of started off with, which is going to be the theme of the next few minutes for me. It's 3 weeks ago, you know, at Promotion Vault, we have over 3,400 clubs. We started doing a survival kit. We started putting together a marketing strategy for the clubs because they were slowing down. because there was less traffic. Less members means less referrals, less guests means less joins, less members in the club was less PT, less sessions. Everything started slowing. So we thought we'd be creative. We put together a 90-day survival plan. We actually rolled that plan out on March 10th, and by March 14th, we were probably the busiest vendor in the industry. March 17th came, and hour on the hour, we started receiving emails from all of your organizations and all the clubs out there that they were closing, whether it be for mandates or doing the right social responsible thing. So much for that survival plan. So much for trying to, create 50% of the revenue and drive the action. Now the clubs are closed. So we immediately had to turn our sights on the next phase. The next phase was, what do we do to help the clubs keep engagement? Because you're all concerned about your membership. So my point of this, guys, is we've been behind the whole time. You've been behind the whole time. The vendors have been behind the whole time. The most important thing for us to do right now, which is what I just heard in every one of David's slides, was we need to think about the reopening, the relaunch, the rebirth, what I'm calling the unlock, whatever you want to call it. It's time. Last week, you took care of the employees and your members over the last 2 weeks. It is time now 100% to focus on the rebirth, the reopening, the re-grand opening. So everything David just went through in those 7 slides is the right thought process of take every one of those bullets and put it into a real process. How are we going to handle this? And we have to go forward. So to talk about sales and marketing, I might be I'm going to go through all the bullets in kind of a longer discussion and come back and forth. Is it too easy? Is it too hard? Is it too early to decide on offers? No, it's not too early to decide on offers, but it is too early to present the offers. Absolutely not too early to decide on offers. Okay, so we're going to get into that. We want you guys, we've been working with the top vendors in the industry, the top point of sale people in the industry, all of the marketing tools that you guys use and the great vendors in the industry. And what I want you to think about is again, the phases and how we're going to get ahead of this. So I can't have you think about your concerns for next week. We really have to think about June 1st at this point. Okay. Is it May 1st that we all get told, okay, 30 days, start thinking about it? Well, guess what? Everybody on this call has been thinking about it. As of today, April 2nd, we're all 100% focused on reopening our clubs the right way. I want you all to know that there's some scary stuff you're hearing. Okay, you're going to hear scary stuff from me. You heard it from David. You've been hearing it on the webinars about how the industry's changed, how every member is going to be changed, how our clubs will never be the same again. Let me tell you guys something. They're correct. Everything's changed. But you need to get your clubs open in a few weeks, in the most a few months, and you're going to get those clubs open. And when the people come in, they're going to use the equipment, and the chest press is still going to be a chest press, and a lat pull down is still going to be a lat pull down, and a treadmill is still going to work the same way. Okay? So make sure that we don't get so consumed on the world changing under our feet that we forget that we're going to be okay. We still are operators. We still been running these gyms and studios and know how to get people their exercises. So focus on, yes, things are going to change. How can we change, like David's slides? But we're going to be okay. People are going to come back into the gyms. They're going to work out, and it's going to go on like it has. Okay? It's going to be better. All right? So remember that. So I want you to think of 2 things. I want you to think of things in a pre-opening and a reopening phase. The pre-opening phase is going to be 30 to 60 days prior to you opening. Okay? So it starts now. The planning and the communications are going to start. I would say your communications should start anywhere around the 2nd to 3rd week of April. Okay? And we're playing it by ear, everyone. The one thing we don't know and why we're all paralyzed at times is because we don't know timing. We don't know when this is over. We don't know when our doors will open. We don't know if it's May 1st, May 15th, June 1st, July 1st. We don't know. So we have to keep going and trying to be out front of this. We're getting attacked by this virus, and we need to get out in front of this, okay? So let's plan our pre-opening phase. Our pre-opening phase, we're going to start marketing to the members 30 days before the club's scheduled or we believe it's going to open. And in that phase, we need to do a certain type of communication to get people to join the clubs and come back to the clubs. We want to communicate with our members about referrals and letting them know that their friends and family, it's no better time. There's never been a better time to join the club with all the great changes, with the best pricing the clubs are ever going to have, with all the new added amenities and the online training and everything that we've been caused to create and deliver, they now can get the benefit for. So we're going to start communicating a pre-opening phase 30 days out to start driving traffic, membership, and excitement. Okay, without going through all the promotions and the exact kind of narratives, I want you to, I'll stick a little higher level. Pre-opening phase 30 days prior to your club, and then once you're open, the reopening phase is anywhere from 90 to 120 days. So you need to create a strategy that is pre-opening 30 days, reopening 90 to 120 days. That's the biggest thing I can tell you to put down in your notes and start creating your timelines. All right, so let's go into competitive offers. Guys, we're gonna need to be more competitive than ever with our offers. All right, and we're gonna need to be a little more conscious of how we give the offers. So we're not just gonna give discounts, we're gonna give things that give them added value and make them see that we've created brand instead of just a facility, okay? So I wanna stop right there a sec and say, people are gonna start joining brands. Some of you do better than other people as creating a brand, but they're going to join brands instead of brick and mortar locations. They're not going to go join one gym or one studio in a strip mall, okay, next to a Baja Fresh. They're going to join the name of that studio or the name of that location, and they want to be part of the brand, which has in-club, out-of-club, social media. It has rewards. It has all-encompassing health and fitness journey for them to be part of. Okay, so when you think about when everybody says everything's going to change, it's never going to be the same, that's what's going to change the most. Okay, and of course, this facility stuff that David brought up, of course, and the operations. But as far as people's mindset of joining the clubs, they're going to join brands and they want an all-encompassing membership, not just a brick and mortar, doors are open from 5 to 11, do what you want to do. So that's what you got to start thinking about in your marketing, and how you create a narrative for your brand is all about an all-encompassing solution that you're all providing. Okay, there's lots of vendors out there that are great top industry vendors. There's a handful of all of us. We all work together, and there's many different vendors that are going to help you with the marketing. One vendor might disseminate your content and have a tool like a Club OS or an InTouch or a Gym Sales that disseminates content for you in messaging. Another one like MXM and some of these other great companies that are going to be able to tell you personas and who to communicate to and how to communicate. So there's great vendors out there. I will tell you that right now, the industry's working hard behind the scenes. The vendors have these webinars daily, okay? The point of sale providers are having these webinars daily with their vendors and their ecosystems to try to figure out how to create plans for their customers that encompass all of it. We want to come out, and we are coming out with a plan for the pre and the reopening strategies, because we believe that right now, when you're ready to sit there and think about the reopening, is when to put the plan in place, set you free, that you know what's going to happen, you know that you've got a strategy, you know your cost to acquire, you know what your ROI for all these different things are going to be, and you can focus on the operations and the members. Okay, you got to put your marketing plan all long term. Don't think that you're just going to start blasting out emails, hey, we're opening, and then hope that they're all just going to fly in. Which brings me to the next one, pool of leads. What does that mean? I believe we're all going to open our clubs with 75 to 50% of the members. Okay, and I hope you don't all just click off and get off the webinar there. I hope that doesn't panic anyone. But I truly believe we're going to end up with 50 to 75% of our active members still part of the clubs, or still wanting to be part of the club shortly after our opening. What does that do for us? It creates a huge pool of health and fitness journey-seeking prospects, if you will, okay? They're out there, and it's going to be up to you to get them and bring them into your club to make up that loss that you have, be able to provide them your brand narrative, your brand value, and you've got to drive those leads, okay? So again, not knowing if you're all thinking about a lot more leads going to be out there. So let's stop focusing on the people that are already canceled. Let's start thinking about how we're going to retain the people we have. Not only retain them, but we're going to have them with such a great experience of how we've been communicating to them that they're going to feed us referrals that are going to end up being 50% of our new memberships in our reopening. Okay, we're going to go from within, and we're going to take the members that come back in, and we're going to reward them and get them to bring people in, and that's what's going to get these communities flowing again in each of your communities. Okay, so again, the lead pools are out there, everything's available. As much as you're losing members, your competitors are losing members, and if you put the right message out and you get out in front of it, those are your pool of leads. So the communication strategy I kind of already went on. It's, I believe, 30 days prior to your opening, we're going to do a pre-opening strategy. We're going to communicate to people about the hours, about how clean the club is, about how the mental wellness and how much better, and you know, we can't wait for them to come into the clubs. We actually have some narratives built that I could share with you guys. And like David said earlier, my email is right here. I'd be more than happy to share those with you. The narrative and your brand is what's going to make you or break you, okay, in the next 120 days. Are you in front of them? Are you just giving 2 months free? You know, are you just putting the same things out there and not being competitive and not being compassionate? You're not going to get that pool of leads. So really thinking about how you feel about what's going on, your brand, and really trying to put together that narrative in a tighter way, okay? Recovery plan, guys. This is your recovery plan. Our recovery plan immediately is to get our current members that we have, that we've been communicating with better than we've ever communicated, to come into these clubs, to bring us in referrals and friends and family who want the best deals that we're ever going to have available in this recovery, in this reopening, in this unlock phase. Okay, so we have a recovery plan that we're all going to be presenting to you. This is what everybody's focused on right now. I think in about 2 weeks, everybody's going to be, when I say everybody, my 3,400 customers will all be open to opting in and accepting and understanding and tweaking and making it their own. But everybody is ready to put together that strategy. So I can't emphasize enough how important it is to put together your strategy, to figure out that message. Once you figure out that message in your narrative of the brand, and you tell people about all your outside exercises they can do, and you tell people about the different training things that you've created that are now part of their memberships, and you tell people about the extra cleaning facilities, and you tell them about the towels, and you tell them about all the things going on, you're creating your brand narrative and your added value, and that's what's going to win. That's what's going to come back and win. Okay? As far as incentivizing, you know, without being an infomercial, as Pete Moore always says, I'm an infomercial. Guys, people aren't going to be about free, okay? Yes, there's struggles with the economy, but devaluing your brand and begging people to come in and giving them everything for free is not the communication strategy that you're going to want, okay? That's not, if you think about right now, if people were free, all of a sudden, it's going to have a complete different value to us. It's going to have a complete different belief system to us, okay? So starting your brand, creating a narrative of added value. The big change, you have a line in the sand right now, and that line in the sand can say, I'm done. I'm done devaluing this product. I'm done that I fight so hard to help people with their journeys, and I'm begging them, I'm giving it away. I'm done fighting people when they want to cancel, okay? I'm going to change my brand around. I'm going to only do added value. I'm going to be proud, and my staff is, of the fees that we charge to give a great facility and a great service at a reasonable cost. Okay, now's our time to create that brand narrative. Now's the time to come out the gates hard with that brand narrative everywhere. Now, okay, here's what I tell everybody. Promotion Vault is a Ferrari. We've been flying down the road doing 150 miles an hour, trying to change the tire. I'm hanging out the window with the wrong tool. I got a hammer. Finally, we're able to pull our Ferraris into the garage, put them up on a lift, and we're able to figure out what tools we need to do the job correctly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Really, really fantastic presentation, both by Dave and Brian. Really, really great stuff. If there's one who has any questions, there was a few that came through the group chat. We can open it up to potentially a question or two, but only in the chat box. Having everyone unmuted would be a little strange. So feel free to type something into the chat box, and either Brian or Dave can address that now. Let's see if we have anything coming in here. Dave Fowler, was there anything else that you potentially wanted to add in the meantime, or are we all set?
No, I think I knew we'd rip through it. I think we're good. We'd like to keep everybody on schedule. So I think we're right there, Dave. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yep. Right. We're coming in under the timeline here at 5:42. I didn't see anything else come in the chat, so I think we're going to wrap it up. Thank you all so much for joining the call. There will be future webinars coming out from Integrity Square, so be on the lookout from that. Go to integritysq.com or promotionvault.com for more information. Thank you all so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi.